The sea was calm that morning. No storm, no wind. The water reflected the sky like a silent mirror. On the beach of Bangka Island, a small group of women walked slowly towards the sea. They were not soldiers. They were military nurses, still wearing their uniforms with the Red Cross symbol. Minutes later, gunshots would echo on that beach. Most of those women would never return, but one survived. And the story of what really happened that day would remain hidden for decades. Days before the official surrender, the port of Singapore was plunged into chaos. Constant bombing, sinking ships, civilians trying to escape at any cost. Among those trying to flee were dozens of Australian nurses from the Army Medical Service. One of them was Vivian Bullwinkel. She was just over 20 years old and had enlisted as a military nurse only a year before, like many in that port. She boarded a small ship called the SS Brook. The ship was overcrowded. Wounded soldiers, civilians, children, all trying to escape before Singapore completely collapsed. 2 days after leaving port, the ship was found by Japanese planes. Without anti-aircraft defenses and without sufficient speed to escape, the ship's fate was practically sealed. The bombs began to fall. Explosions ripped open the hull. Within minutes, the ship began to sink. Hundreds of people were thrown into the sea. Survivors tried to cling to pieces of the destroyed ship. For hours, groups fought to reach the nearest land. Some managed to reach the shore of Bangka Island, exhausted and wounded. The survivors believed they still had a chance. They were nurses, medical personnel, protected, in theory, by the international rules of war. But when Japanese soldiers arrived on the beach, the situation changed rapidly. First, they separated the men from the women. The wounded soldiers were taken to another point on the beach. Shortly after, gunfire echoed in the distance. The nurses realized something was wrong. Then came the order. The women were to walk towards the sea, one after the other, without running, without resisting. They slowly entered the water. The sea rose to their knees, then to their waists. It was at that moment that the shooting began. Vivian hid in the island's jungle without supplies, without proper medical treatment. During this time, she found a severely wounded British soldier who had also escaped another execution. Even in the extreme conditions, she did what she knew best, caring for people. But after days of trying to survive and hiding, they both realized they couldn't continue. They eventually surrendered to Japanese forces. Vivian spent more than 3 years as a prisoner of war in Japanese-controlled camps. Terrible conditions, food shortages, disease, but she kept a secret. She was the only direct witness to what had happened on the beach. If the guards found out, she would probably be executed. When the war ended in 1945, Vivian finally told her story. Her testimony helped document one of the darkest episodes of the war in the Pacific. Even after everything she went through, she returned to Australia and continued working as a nurse for many years. She dedicated her life to caring for others. If you enjoy little-known stories from military history, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, had you ever heard of this episode from the Pacific War? In the next videos, we will explore other true stories from World War II that many books barely mention.